Hi there, welcome back to the podcast. Hope you're all well. I'll get straight into it. So I was planning on talking about doing a backyard ultra, which would have been today, except for the fact that I didn't do it. Which is a bit of a shame, but like the long and short of it is you'll all be aware that this week we've been in a heat wave all over the UK, and particularly like the last couple of days, it's been so hot and humid that, like, me personally, I've just found it like absolutely unbearable. With like temperatures being plus 30 degrees, and it really hasn't been great. I mean, I went out for a run at I did a 5K run at 6:30 in the morning, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, and even that early in the morning, it was already like very humid and just not pleasant at all. But anyhow, we'd planned on doing a backyard ultra at Bishopwood, just outside Selby, and so like yesterday, which was Friday the 26th, I was at work on Friday morning, and it was just sweltering. Like, even just standing in the car park outside work was unbearable. And then I got home yesterday afternoon, and honestly, I just didn't feel good. I was just like absolutely knackered because I've not been sleeping well recently either. Like, pretty much like most mornings over the past couple of weeks, I've been waking up at like 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning just because it's been like so hot, and then I've been feeling like really tired throughout the following day. And yesterday, like, I just like lay down on the bed and I just kept like falling in and out of naps, like unintentionally. Just it was really bad. So I messaged Max and just said, like, look, sorry pal, I'm gonna sack it off on this occasion, just because it's too hot. I didn't want to like risk making myself feel worse or getting heat stroke or anything like that. And I know this sounds like really dramatic, but I just didn't think, for me personally, it was worth risking anything. So I just decided to call it a day. And then I actually slept well last night, and I do feel a bit better today, but just still like really tired. So I just think that's part and parcel with living in a country that is not prepared in the slightest, like, for heat waves. Where like my work, for example, only the gym and the spin studio has air conditioning. None of the offices do, and it's just like really uncomfortable and really like unpleasant working conditions. And some people have it even worse. I read reports that like some hospitals in the country, in like natal units, for example, where there is no aircon whatsoever and things like that. And it just sounds really awful. And I think, um, I don't want to go on a tangent about global warming, but I think these heat waves are going to be like a common occurrence like every year. So I think, like, as a country, we need to kind of be proactive and just like I think the government and the HSE need to introduce like maximum temperature working laws, which don't exist at the minute, so that if like the temperature inside a building exceeds a certain number, then just shut up shop and go home, because surely everybody's like safety has to be paramount. Um, Even though it's money that makes the world go round, but just invest in some air conditioning, like, please. It's not, I don't think that's me being a genius. I think it's just common sense. But what do I know? But in terms of like backyard ultras, there is. I do still want to do one, but want to do it when it's a bit colder. So I might do. Actually, before I go on to that, Max actually did the backyard ultra this morning at Bishopwood. I sacked it off, but he still did it, and he managed to do like 50K. So like, massive fair play to you, Max, and well done. That's a really good effort, like, especially on your own. And he did 50K. And he told me that like his legs felt a bit tired, but he said that he actually felt like he could have carried on, but he decided to stop, like, because of the weather mainly, which is absolutely fair enough. I don't blame you at all, mate. But well done, pal. Really, really pleased and really proud of you. And sorry for bailing on you, but I hope you understand. But we will definitely do one, hopefully in a few months' time, like after we do Chicago. But yeah, talking of like backyard ultra events, there is actually one in February in South Wales. There's like a event company organizer called Limitless Trails, and in fact, in February earlier this year, Julia did a backyard ultra there. It was called like the Trails and Tarmac Backyard Ultra. So they're doing that again next year on the 6th of February, which I'm strongly considering entering. I probably will do, to be fair, because like I went and watched it and it was like a really well run event, really well organized, really good atmosphere as well. And yeah, nice part of the world as well. So yeah, it's something I'm definitely considering doing. I've got it kind of like on the maybe list. But yeah, speaking of which, yesterday morning actually got an email from the organisers of the Cape Town Marathon, which, as I said last week, next year will be the first time it runs as an official World Marathon Major. But unfortunately, my entry was unsuccessful, so will not be going to South Africa next year, which is a shame. But like in terms of like entering ballots for marathons and half marathons, you can't win them all. You win some, you lose some. But as I've probably mentioned 100 times previously, we are doing Chicago Marathon on the 11th of October. So the 14th of July is officially day one of the training block for Chicago. However, between now and then, I will do a little bit of running, kind of like just to keep me ticking over. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Chicago, and I'll talk more and more about the training block like as the next few weeks and months go on. And that's kind of it, really, in terms of my running and my fitness. But yeah, obviously the World Cup has been going on, and for the first time ever, really, like on the build up to the World Cup, I wasn't really that asked about it. I wasn't feeling that excited for it. There's kind of like a lot of negativity around it in terms of like the USA hosting it. Just like ticket prices, just like astronomically expensive. I read an article a few months ago where, like, assuming England get to the final and you buy the cheapest possible ticket for every single England game, the cheapest it will cost you is over $6,000, which is just like insane. And I've also read stories about like some England fans and Scotland fans as well, like remortgaging their houses and selling their cars, like purely to like fund the trip. Which is like, fair play, because I guess it is like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and memories are better than dreams and what have you. But yeah, it really shouldn't. What was like originally like a working class sport is just like the cost of just like spiraled out of control. So you might probably already heard this, but like in New York, for example, the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey is like one of the host stadiums. So normally, like at any other time of the year, if you get a train from Penn Station in New York City to the MetLife Stadium, it would usually cost you $12.90, which sounds fairly reasonable. However, during the World Cup, that same return journey will cost $105. So that is $105 just to get to and from the stadium. That's not including your match tickets. God knows how much that will have cost. And then also, like, flights, travel, food, drink, accommodation. Yeah, it's just like obscenely expensive. And I just think, like, yeah, personally, like, there's no need for it. I think it should be made affordable for the vast majority of people. Yes, I understand that money makes the world go round, but FIFA is supposedly a non-for-profit organization, but we all know that FIFA is like also an incredibly corrupt organization. And also, like, it's obviously like like the local cities that are dictating the public transport prices. For example, there is like a two-sided story, because like Chicago, for example, declined the opportunity to host the World Cup just because it would have been too expensive for them to host, while FIFA reaped all the awards. So I do kind of understand from like cities' points of views that why they would make things expensive, but I do think like $105 when it's usually $12.90 for public transport is just taking the piss a bit. Put it up to like $20, for example, and that's putting your prices up. But still being fairly reasonable, but to, pretty much like almost 10 times the normal prices is just ridiculous. But moving on to kind of like positive things, I have actually enjoyed watching the World Cup, to see Miroslav Klose's record of being the all-time top goal scorer already broken is just insane. You've seen like Messi score 5 goals in his opening 2 games, like Mbappe has been scoring goals, and even like last night when France played against Denmark, like Ousmane Dembele himself scored a hat-trick, and all 3 of his goals were just like absolute worldies. So yeah, it's been like really exciting to watch. Obviously, Kane scored in England's first match, but then England like drew with Ghana 0-0. I think like the England-Ghana game was always going to be quite a difficult game for England, because Ghana, for me, normally when you've got a really good team versus a team that's not as good, like the team that's not as good typically will go defensive and put 11 men behind the ball and, play deep, or what's now known as a low block. But I've always said, like, just play a deep back line. But yeah, it was always going to be difficult for England to get something. But saying that, they still should have won, because Kane should have scored, but then also Ghana should have got a penalty. But yeah, England play against Panama tonight in the final group stage match. But as you're listening to this on Sunday evening, England played last night and they won 4-0, and Kane scored a hat-trick. So that's like what I'm predicting will happen. But yeah, I have enjoyed watching the World Cup, although like with it being in America, like quite a few of the games have kicked off at like 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning UK time. To be honest, like any game that's kicked off like after 11 p.m, I've not bothered watching. So I've probably like only watched like half of the matches, but the ones that I did watch, I have, like, to be fair, for the most part of it, like really enjoyed it. I personally think France are going to win the World Cup. I said that before the tournament started, and certainly there's no debating that they have definitely looked like the best team so far. And I think like there's even more to come from France. Their front 4 is just frightening. Dembele, Mbappe, Desiree Doué and Michael Olise. When you think that players like Cherki and Bradley Barcola are on the bench, and we know how good they are, especially Cherki, we watch him play for Man City. When players like that are on the bench, that's a very good team. So yeah, I do think France are going to win the World Cup. I think Spain have a good chance. Argentina, you definitely can't rule them out. I think it'll be one of those 3 that win it. I don't think England will win the World Cup. I don't think Brazil will. And after watching Germany the other night, I know like when Germany played Ecuador, I know Germany were already through to the next round, and I know that Ecuador had to win, and Ecuador won 2-1. By the way, buzzing for them. They deserved to win, but Germany were just very sloppy, and I don't think even in Germany's opening 2 games, which they won, I don't think they looked that great. Of course, you can't rule Germany out because Germany's Germany, but yeah, I don't think they're going to win it either. But yeah, I have been impressed with what I've seen at the World Cup so far, and hopefully it continues. Right, that's it from me today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. And yeah, if there's anything you want me to talk about on future episodes, you know what to do. Just comment below or just give me a shout, and I will see you next time. Cheers.